Alright, hello everyone. So today's video is definitely different than what I normally do. It's not really going to be an animal video exactly, it's just going to kind of be me sitting here talking to you guys. As I'm sure you can tell by the title, this video is just basically going to be explaining why I am no longer a Zen Habitat affiliate and why I don't really want to promote the products anymore. Yeah, like I said, this video is definitely probably going to be very boring to some people, so if you don't care about this, that is totally fine. However, I feel like it is important for me to make regardless, so that's what we're doing today. So for those of you who don't know, Zen Habitats is a company. They're based in the US, and they build reptile enclosures. You know, I'm sure you have probably heard of them if you're watching this video. A lot of people have their enclosures. You know, there's lots of YouTube videos out there about them, and one of the ones out there is mine. So back in 2020, I was in contact with Zen Habitats, and basically what was going on was they wanted to send me one of their enclosures. I was sent the enclosure free of charge in order to show off in a video, and I was also registered with their affiliate program. Hopefully you guys understand like what an affiliate link and all that stuff is, so let's just start talking about the enclosures and why I'm no longer an affiliate. So back in 2020, I was in contact with Zen Habitats, and we had arranged for them to send me a enclosure for free, and the enclosure that I got was 2 feet wide, 2 feet deep, and 4 feet tall, and I used it for my giant leaf-tailed geckos. So when I first got my Zen Habitat and got it all set up, overall my impression of it was pretty good initially. I said in my original video that I did have an issue when I was setting it up, and I actually ended up breaking a piece of the enclosure. And now I do want to say that is not Zen's fault. I was the one who broke it, so like that is my fault. That is on me. So that didn't affect my overall opinion of the enclosure, and you know, besides me breaking it in a way, I did really like it upon first use, and just, you know, like my first impression of it was good overall. At the start, my only complaints were that I wasn't really a fan of like the color of just like the wood that they use, but again, that is purely aesthetics, you know. Functionality wise, the color serves no purpose, so that is just, you know, my opinion. Not a huge fan of the color, but whatever, not a big deal. And then obviously I broke a piece, so I wasn't super happy about that, but you know, again, that was my fault. However, the longer I had and continued to use my Zen Habitat, which hasn't even been that long, it's really only been, what, I set it up in August, I believe, so not even 6 months at this point, but just the longer that I've had it, I started having some more issues with it, and overall my opinion on the enclosure that I had just started to change. And now I do want to say that I am not here hating on Zen or anything as a company. I am very grateful still for the opportunity that I had to work with them, and I am very grateful for the enclosure that they sent me. However, it just, you know, things just didn't work out. Again, this is not meant to be any sort of like hate or drama. It just didn't work out. And yeah, so that's where we are. So over time, I started having a few issues with my enclosure. Again, like I said, I did break a piece of it when I was assembling it, and you know, it was my fault that I broke it, but I started kind of just thinking about it and realizing, you know, if the material of this was higher quality, I don't think I would have broken it. And again, I don't want to blame this on Zen, like it is my fault that I broke it. However, I'm just saying I think that the materials used aren't the best quality, and because of that, it's a lot easier to possibly break something like I did. So yeah, like I said, that doesn't really matter, but my biggest issue that I had with my Zen Habitat was that the door of it actually just fell off one day. And so the door of my enclosure, I'll show you what it looks like here. So you can see that it is a piece of acrylic that is fitted into this like metal sleeve, I guess. It sits in this metal sleeve, and then yeah, it's supposed to be attached in that, and then the metal piece is what like attaches the door to the frame. So what happened was that the piece of acrylic fell out of the metal sleeve that was holding it in. So the door hinge was still attached, but the actual acrylic piece of door wasn't. Alright, so this here is what I'm talking about. So like what my hand is on right here, this is just the acrylic door, and then this piece right here is the metal sleeve that I was talking about. So you can see that like the metal sleeve is what attaches the acrylic door to the enclosure. So yeah, my door fell off. Obviously immediately I was kind of like, oh, I don't think this should happen. I then, you know, I had an enclosure that just didn't have a door on it, so I had to like do something else with my animals because, you know, I couldn't just leave them in an enclosure without a door. So yeah, after my door fell off, I sent an email to Zen, and they responded by telling me that they unfortunately had a batch of enclosures made with faulty doors, and you know, I must have gotten one of them, which again, I understand these things happen sometimes. I get it, you know, I don't expect anyone or any company to be perfect by any means. I know things happen. I'm an understanding person. So yeah, they told me that they had a batch that was unfortunately made and the doors were not attached properly and they didn't realize until too late. So yeah, there was that. So I found out that the enclosure that I was sent was unfortunately one of the faulty ones and my door fell off. In the same email, Zen responded by telling me that I should be able to super glue the door back in place and it should be good. So that is what I did. However, again, I don't want to like come across as ungrateful or anything because I did receive this enclosure for free and I'm very thankful for that. I feel very lucky that I was able to. You know, in my opinion, if you have a product and you know that you have a faulty batch and someone got one of these faulty batches and my door fell off, I personally felt as though I should have just been offered a replacement door. Not a replacement enclosure or anything, but just in my opinion, I feel as though it would have been more appropriate to offer to send me a replacement door that isn't faulty. However, you know, that was that, and I went and I super glued my door back on, and well, it works. Again, this just does leave me with some more complaints because I super glued my door back on, but it didn't dry evenly. And again, it's not like this is Zen's fault that my super glue didn't dry evenly, but like, yeah. So the super glue, I super glued the door back in and it didn't dry evenly, so the door doesn't fit exactly right in the sleeve. It's kind of lower on the bottom and then drags across the door, and then when the super glue was drying, it also just kind of spilled over in some spots. So down at the very bottom, there's like a big glob of dried super glue at the bottom of the enclosure, and there's super glue stains on the acrylic door. And I honestly don't really know how this happened. I don't really know what causes this, but after I super glued the door on, there was just all of these white marks like on the acrylic that looked almost like fingerprints, which is weird because I never had any like glue on my fingerprints, but I don't know, like some sort of just glue residue got left behind and it leaves just this ugly mark on the enclosure. So yeah, basically what happened is this piece of acrylic here just completely fell out of this metal sleeve, and then I super glued it back in like Zen suggested I do, but you can see that there's kind of just a dried blob of super glue at the bottom. You can see it from the front too, like that little piece that's just sticking out, that's just dried glue. I mean, not a huge deal, but it's there. And then you can also just see like the white glue residue that I was talking about. And so when I had to super glue the door back on, as I mentioned, it didn't dry entirely evenly. So when I go to put it back on, I kind of have to like shove it over this rim right here. So yeah, that was just definitely the biggest issue that I had, was the door falling off and not being offered a replacement door, and then just kind of having to do this not so great DIY at home fix. It just, yeah, it just doesn't look good. And then I do unfortunately have a few more complaints with the door because, so that, like I said, the door sits in this metal sleeve and the metal sleeve is like what attaches it to the frame. So the area where the sleeve like fits into the frame, I'm really bad at describing things, so hopefully you get what I mean, but yeah. So where the metal sleeve fits into the frame started rusting, and you know, an enclosure meant for animals that need water and humidity in my opinion, should be rust proof. Every part of it. I don't think there should be any part of the enclosure that is not rust proof. Right here you can see the rusty piece that I'm talking about. So this is like part of the sleeve that sticks into the frame that's rusting. So if we look at the top, it's this tiny little piece right there. The top one isn't rusting, but yeah, this one down here definitely is, so yeah. And from what I've seen, this isn't a normal thing that happens. Again, maybe I just got unlucky with a bad enclosure, but again, this is just my experience. Yeah, so the door started rusting in that area. So now just looking at my enclosure, there is duct tape on it, super glue, and rust, and it is not even 6 months old. Yeah. One other issue that I forgot to mention I had was actually with these like locks right here. So you can see there's no handle on the door or anything, so these locks kind of serve as the handle. However, if you look on this side though, these like little bolts that hold them in place, the nuts and bolts, have come loose on me multiple times. This one at the top you can actually see is missing the like bolt or the nut. I don't know which is which. I don't know stuff, but anyways. And so because of that, this screw right here is just entirely loose. And when these bolts have fallen off, they fall off into the enclosure and then they just like land on the substrate there. So they're like technically in places where my animals like could technically swallow them. Obviously there's a very slim chance that they would, but like just saying that these did also fall off multiple times into my enclosure, which I'm not a big fan of. So those were definitely the main issues that I had. Basically my door falling off, the super glue, the rust, not getting a replacement door. Yeah, those were definitely my main issues that I had. And also, I guess just overall, the longer that I've used this enclosure, the more I realize I don't think it is going to last very long. And this is like the door issue aside, I don't know, I just don't really feel like this enclosure is working for my leaf-tailed geckos. I don't think it really works holding substrate very well. It's not like watertight, water leaks through it. So yeah, I don't think these enclosures are really suitable for species that have more water / humidity requirements. Something like a bearded dragon, which I know is what Zen originally started out by making. I can, you know, I'm sure it would work a lot better for something like that, but in my experience, it did not work well for the animals that I kept, which are my giant leaf-tailed geckos. Overall, I just kind of felt like the materials being used are somewhat cheap. I don't think they're insanely cheap, but I think that they are cheap for the price of the enclosures. These enclosures are pretty expensive, which in my opinion would be worth it if they lasted a long time, but based off my experience, one is not going to be lasting very much longer. So my current Zen that I have, it's still set up right now with my leaf tails inside of it. However, I do plan on getting rid of it soon. Honestly, I'm not really sure what I'll do with the Zen habitat because I don't really have any interest in keeping, so I might look around to see if there's anywhere that I could maybe donate it to that could get a use out of it. Something like that, I have no idea. Or maybe even just like keeping it around for like quarantine or just like backup purposes, but like, yeah, whatever I end up doing with it, I do not plan on keeping my animals in it that much longer. I'm hoping to get my leaf-tailed geckos into a new enclosure soon. I'm probably just going to build them one because it's hard to find a store-bought one the size that I want, so yeah, that is just what is going on. So I am no longer an affiliate with Zen Habitats. You know, after having these issues, I contacted them and I emailed them, and you know, I just said the issues that I was having and thanked them, you know, for the opportunity to work with them and be an affiliate, because, you know, regardless of this not working out, I am still very appreciative of the offer and the opportunity that I got. But it just doesn't work out, and I do not feel comfortable continuing to promote or even maybe seem like I'm promoting a product that I didn't enjoy. It is not worth it to me. Like I said, I was an affiliate with Zen and I canceled that. I don't want to be an affiliate for something that I don't truly love. So yeah. Again, I don't mean for this to be any sort of hate video or anything. I have no hate towards any of these people at all. I just didn't really find the enclosure worked for me, and that's okay. Not everything works for everyone. I know some people have great experiences with them, other people have not so great experiences. I unfortunately didn't have a great experience, but again, I do just want to point out that this is just me and just my opinion. I'm not speaking for anyone else, so yeah, just keep that in mind. Anyways, that is really all that I had to say. All I really wanted to do is just come on here and talk about why I am no longer affiliated with Zen Habitats. So I do want to say my previous video with Zen Habitats, the one where I first set up my leaf-tailed geckos, that is still up on my channel. I don't plan on taking it down because, you know, it wasn't just a Zen video, it was also a video about my geckos, and I was giving good information on the animals, so I do want to leave that video up, but I do want to say that my link is no longer active. I'm probably going to go back and change the description and pinned comment on that video because, like I said, I do want to leave it up, but I don't really want to promote these enclosures anymore, so yeah, just saying now my link is no longer active. So if you are still planning on purchasing a Zen habitat, I would encourage you to, you know, find another creator who you really enjoy and want to support and use their link. Like I said, my link does nothing now, don't do it. So please, if you are going to be purchasing a Zen, use someone else's link who you want to support. Please do not use my old not working link. All that said, I'm just gonna end the video here because this is really all I had to say, so that's what I'm gonna do. Thank you all so much for watching, I guess. I don't really know what to say. Like, it feels weird to be like, if you enjoyed the video, give it a big thumbs up, because like, I don't know, this is a weird video, but like, I'd still appreciate it if you gave this video a big thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel, and also I would appreciate it if you checked out all of my social media. All of it will be in the description down below. It is all just MSAM99, but yeah, I would love to have you guys over there. I'd love to have you guys here, so there's that. So I'm gonna end this video now. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video.